Hello, everyone, and welcome to Transaction Alley, Fintech resources to land and expand in the USA. As advisors to companies in Europe and Asia, MGI Research is often asked, where is the best place to set up an office in the US? We also have US clients looking to expand regionally, and as former operating executives for US and European companies, our analysts have firsthand experience with the challenges of selecting a city, finding office space, and recruiting talent. What most executives overlook or are unaware of is all the resource that is available through local and national chambers of commerce. In the US, there is one city with a unique focus on payments and monetization. And here to tell us more are Kristina Morris of Fintech Atlanta and Grant Wainscott of the Metro Atlanta Chamber of Commerce. Welcome, Kristina and Grant.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for being with us today. So first, could you give us a bit of background on the Metro Atlanta Chamber of Commerce and Fintech Atlanta?
Yeah, sure. Well, thank you so much for having us. We're thrilled to be here. The Metro Atlanta region really is the capital of the Southeast US. So if viewers aren't aware of kind of the geographic positioning, we're in the southeastern portion of the US, and Atlanta is the major dominant city with 6.4 million people in our metro area and growing faster than any other part of the country. So we're the Chamber of Commerce. The Metro Atlanta Chamber is the Chamber of Commerce for the region. We're 161 years old. We predate the American Civil War, so we've been around a couple years and hope to be around a few more. But we're a completely private nonprofit, never taken a penny of government money in our 161-year history. So that allows us to really be that kind of go-to resource for companies, leaders, entrepreneurs who are looking to relocate, grow, start a business. Our mission is pretty simple. We focus on public policy, ensuring that the state of Georgia and the Metro Atlanta region are an open, inclusive, and inviting place in which to do business. Economic development, growing jobs and investment, and then telling our story as a region. And that kind of goes to our partnership with Fintech Atlanta. We're often asked to lead these kind of efforts in one of the core areas in which we're objectively, globally strong, and that's fintech, cybersecurity, and particularly where those two really combine and cross over. Supply chain and logistics, global health and life sciences, creative industries. We're the #1 filming destination in the world, music and esports, franchising and smart city technology. So that's really that's what drives GDP growth for our region. And we get asked many times to create industry associations, or chambers love to create councils and committees and all this structure. And this happens to be one of those cases where it turned into something a lot more cool than just some kind of a committee. And we birthed this separate kind of 501c6 nonprofit that really focuses on growing fintech in our region, organizing, supporting, and promoting really our global position as certainly Transaction Alley in the U.S., but so much more than that. So together, our two organizations, Kristina's and mine, our remit is to help grow jobs and investment. That could be attracting new jobs, and particularly from all corners of the world, so that your viewers, the attendees of Monetize, understand there's really kind of a one-stop shop for any information that you could possibly need to know or want to know about bringing or growing your business here.
Well, it sounds like you do quite a lot.
We try, and it's all free.
Amazing. Now, for many years, Atlanta was famous for being the world headquarters for iconic brands like Coca-Cola, Delta Airlines, the Home Depot, UPS, and many others. So today, who are some of the better known and soon to be famous payments and tech companies with offices in Atlanta?
So one of the things that people don't realize is that fintech and payments in particular has a really long history here in Atlanta, and dating back to the 1970s with the launch of the automated clearinghouse. And since then, many companies have located in or around the Metro Atlanta area to be close to those customers and make sure that they're located together. And we've created what's now affectionately known as what's called Transaction Alley. And So, some of the companies that have come here are now companies like NCR, FIS, Fiserv, Deluxe, BitPay, Invesco. I mean, the list goes on. And then you have other companies that are homegrown that have decided to grow here and stay here. And we're really excited about that. So folks like Cardlytics, like Cabbage, which is now part of American Express, and Greenlight Financial, which is one of our newest unicorns. And so there are a lot of those companies that are here that I think that people probably have heard of either in the news recently or have had some sort of interaction with them in the past. One of our largest growing segments now is actually with foreign investment into the United States. And so we've got a lot of European, Latin American, and Asian companies that have decided to locate here. So we have everything from, 1 or 2 person shops all the way up to global headquarters or the first U.S. office. So for the viewers here, you might know FeatureSpace, Payments and Cards Network, PPRO, all of those have decided to locate here because, again, it's a great way to get connected with their customers and be located together in one place.
And then I'll just add, when we look at tech in general, fintech, of course, is incredibly important, but tech in general really is driving, I think, our not just the availability of workforce that's here, but really the shift in Atlanta and the Metro Atlanta area as the dominant tech headquarters for not just the southeastern U.S. but a large portion of the East Coast. We've had recent investment from Instacart. Just announced 400 jobs. Zillow had a big expansion. Starbucks brought a 500-person employee innovation center. Pandora had 250 new job announcement. Amazon, Microsoft, Salesforce, you name it. The growth of companies like that, who are looking for top-tier talent from 64 colleges and universities in Metro Atlanta. Kristina, actually, I think we may be 65. Starting this year, that's almost 300,000 students just in the metro area itself. So that brings bigger investments. Like Porsche and Mercedes both relocated their North American headquarters here. Kristina mentioned a lot about the foreign investment from around the globe. So when you have a huge tech environment that allows that job portability and access to talent, which is really driving so much of the growth here.
Yeah. So when you speak about the talent pool in Atlanta, what are some of the top colleges and universities in the greater Atlanta area? And additionally to that, how can your offices help connect newcomers to the local universities?
So as Grant mentioned, there are so many colleges and universities here. And so Georgia Tech, the University of Georgia, Georgia State, private colleges like Emory, Morehouse, and Spelman are all located here with top-tier talent. We also have a great pull from some of the other colleges and universities outside of the region. But when you think about it, one of the reasons that we're really excited to be here is because people recognize how strong of an industry fintech is. We recently launched, or not we, but in our region recently launched the Georgia Fintech Academy, which is a collaboration between the fintech ecosystem and the university system of Georgia. So it's a talent development initiative that's really giving students the opportunity to learn the basics about fintech, get some experiential learning, internships, and all the things that are necessary to let them hit the ground running when it comes to fintech. So they're getting a lot of exposure and learning a lot about all of the possibilities that are here. So it's just one of those things where we recognize just how important it is to really get our future talent to get excited about this industry and grow here.
That sounds wonderful.
To your second point, I remember to talk about how to get people connected. So one of the things that we like to do is to make sure that we're helping companies develop close relationships by making some introductions, helping companies connect for job fairs, internships, to have them speak at student classes or to some of the student groups in town. to help them learn a little bit more about that. But if you're looking to connect with professors, if you're looking to do some studies, we can help make those connections. And as Grant mentioned at the beginning of this is all free of charge.
It's wonderful. So moving to a different subject, what does the venture capital and private equity funding picture look like in Atlanta? Who are some of these success cases that either raised capital and or achieved a high profile exit?
Yeah, great question. Well, I think every region is in the fight of their life for capital, right? Even if you're on the West Coast, in the Northeast U.S. or other major global markets, capital's huge. I'll say that even with huge funding, you still have to have customers, right? You still have to be able to sell a product. You still have to be able to bring in revenue. And so, in Metro Atlanta, we really focus on kind of the 360 of a company, and access to capital is critical, but we also want to make sure that we're opening doors because your customers are probably in Metro Atlanta, with the third largest concentration of Fortune 500s in the hemisphere, world's busiest airport, all the reasons companies come here. So when we focus on capital, we've been looking at everything from super early stage to, we've always been a big PE, private equity market. Really over the past, I'd say, gosh, Kristina, what do you think? Maybe 4 to 5 years, that shift in kind of less access to early stage capital than you find out on the West Coast has started to happen. So, you've seen major announcements, at least in the past, 12 months or so, from companies like, Cabbage and Greenlight. We've got a number of unicorns that have come about. OneTrust, SalesLoft. In fact, the SalesLoft announcement just happened this past week. Finally reaching unicorn status. So we've had, thanks to like TTV Capital and Fintech venture funds and other funds that are really specifically focused or principally focused on Fintech investment, we've had a large number of capital sources from within Georgia that have grown. But probably more significantly, we've seen those funds from Europe and Asia, and Latin America, and the West Coast U.S. Open up operations here. Their partners are looking to not just have a board meeting anymore. Saying, well, you've got to be on the West Coast to be able to get investment from us, so we can have a board meeting. I think COVID has proven that meetings can happen virtually incredibly easily. So why not do business where your cost of acquisition of a client, your cost of doing business, your talent cost is a fraction of what it is in super high cost markets around the world. So that certainly changed. We were a pretty conservative market for a long time. The South was a lot about investing in shopping centers. It was real estate driven. People were really conservative because the returns were fantastic. That's really shifted ever since about a decade or so ago, when we really started to be kind of the center of the universe for music and film, and that collision of the creative communities. We saw investors looking at things that they probably wouldn't have invested in before, at least not in inherent investment here. Still have a long way to go. Our early stage capital, we're still looking for more access to super early seed fund. But with over 50 incubators and accelerators and kind of entrepreneurial startup programs, that's really helped, I think, companies and founders access Google for Startups, Atlanta Tech Village, which is the state of Georgia's tech incubator. It's right on Georgia Tech's campus. It's actually the Advanced Technology Development Center, or ATDC as we call it. It's the country's oldest state-run incubator. So with this national conversation around race and equity, making sure that your entire community is able to thrive, we've really been able to shift that focus of capital raising, not just to early stage, but to focus on investment in women and minority-led companies, Black and brown communities that for years have seen disinvestment in this country, are finally able to access programs and services we've been trying to bring to them for years. And so it's an incredibly exciting place to have this kind of world discourse on equity.
It sounds like it. So can you give me a picture of what the infrastructure looks like? What should a company looking to locate in Atlanta expect to pay for office space, for example?
Yeah, sure. Well, and with Christina's help and Fintech Atlanta really helping us look at what fintech companies specifically, or financial services, not just fintech, but it's everything from crypto and cyber and insurance, reinsurance, prepaid, all the pieces that really make up financial services. When we talk to companies, they're looking for one of a number of things. Um, do you have Class A, world Class A office space, and not, I'm sitting here in the 34th floor of a 50-story tower right in downtown. Unfortunately, the views aren't beautiful today. It's overcast. But typically, this is an office environment, and we've got a number of these major high rises. This is the kind of office environment that you'll find, bigger brands often looking for. But you can have a campus environment here too, right? Metro Atlanta is huge. It's a city within a forest. It's the nation's most tree canopied city. So if you want, a major campus, like Fiserv has here, or if you want the snazziest, like uber cool glass office building kind of hanging out over the interstate, like NCR has here, you can do that. Or if you want something super hip on our belt line, our version of the High Line, New York's High Line. If you want something like that, you can go, where companies like P-Pro and Payments and Cards Network and others that have really kind of hip, trendy office space. So you can get anything you want here. Access to the student population and to talent, though, is key. So you find, of course, markets growing in areas that are super close to where the universities are, close to where the arts and cultural amenities are that people really want, to have access to. We're a fraction of the cost of setting up shop in, the Bay Area or the Northeast US, or, a lot of European markets. So when you find the ability to be on, East Coast time, which is critical, particularly for, if you have European operations trying to get a hold of the West Coast, you'll find the companies that Christina and I work with, they need somebody to help them find exactly what that office space is, right? What is it going to cost to get me, 100 square meters, or 500 square feet, two-person office. And then how do we leverage the transportation network? The South is known, in some cases for being kind of like LA is, for you have to be relying on your car. That's not Metro Atlanta, right? We've got a subway system. We have bus network. We have, walking and biking trails. We've got this incredible belt line that's going to circle the city. So you don't have to be car bound here. So we really help companies explore how to take advantage of the whole region.
That's great. Well, I think we have time for maybe one more question. So can you tell me what the quality of life is like in Atlanta? Will I afford to live in Atlanta, and will my family be happy? What are the schools and the communities like?
Sure. Well, I'll ask Christina to chime in here too, because she's one of the rare native Georgians. I grew up on the West Coast and have lived all over the world. And so, what drew me here, probably is a little bit different than what drew Christina here. But really the hallmark, at least we found, and I brought a young family here. We came because I have a child that's in the film industry, who's an actor. And we moved here to take advantage of this incredible filming community. And in the 12 or so years that we've lived here, we've gone from kind of suburban living to now being in town, where everybody in my neighborhood is on a film crew, or I can hear a saxophone at night, or somebody singing, and you feel that cool creative vibe really all throughout the region. And so it's got this vibe of being this big global city that just happens to be a lot smaller than I think people think. It's easy to get connected here. You've got these incredible, multi-language, private schools and public schools. You can hear 78 languages, spoken in our public schools. And between the international scene with football, real football, which is soccer to Americans, but the world sport, the beautiful game. You post Olympics, you've really seen this dramatic change in how the South is viewed, and particularly Metro Atlanta. So, we came here, felt instantly welcome, and I never had that feeling, no matter where we lived around the world or what language we were speaking. I feel like for some reason, Atlanta just opened us with, with open arms. And frankly, there's this sense of paying it back. We want you here. We want you to be a part of the community, but we also expect something out of you. We expect you to be engaged. We expect you to care. We expect you to care about your neighbors, to care about your community. And I had never found that, but Kristina, what's your experience?
I got to tell you, Grant, it's hard to follow that up, right? I grew up south of Atlanta. I came up to Atlanta as like the big, fun, cool thing to do because coming from a smaller town. But Atlanta has been exactly what we needed in terms of opportunities for school, for work. It's just one of those places where I can't imagine living anywhere else. It's just one of these places where I really do feel very much like everybody can find something that they like. So, depending on if you're a hiker or you want to go drive a little further, but to get to the beach, those types of things, everything is here, and just really love a lot about what Atlanta has to offer. The music scene, the art scene, the food, everything has been exactly what we needed. And I think that people find a community here, and that's part of the reason why we enjoy it so much.
Well, with that, I'd like to thank both of you so much for joining us today. Everyone, that was Kristina Morris of Fintech Atlanta and Grant Wainscott of the Metro Atlanta Chamber of Commerce. Their details are in the networking section, and they have a sponsor booth, and they are truly a tremendous resource. So thank you so much for your time today, and enjoy the rest of Monetize Forum 2021.